the difference is I'm not hostile to properties. In fact, one of my best-known articles was called On Properties. I think, you know, there is a sense in which there are such things, for example, as physical magnitudes. And the question, what magnitudes are there? You know, gravitation, electricity, is a real important scientific question. On the other, I think that when we, and I have no objection to what Quine called quantifying over predicates, saying some of its characteristics are admirable, you know, or there are, but I don't think there's a fixed inventory of these things. In a way, I'm a little sympathetic to Worf, the linguist Worf, whose linguistic relativism got attacked and often caricatured, and because people look at some of his amateurish philosophical statements, and they never look at his examples. Now, one of his Worf's examples I like, he attributes it to Shawnee, is the following. He says, in Shawnee there are names for patterns. And there's a name for what he calls a fork-shaped pattern, you know. And he says, certain Shawnee utterances describe states of affairs between which we would see no similarity, but when we see the Shawnee description, you see how the Shawnee see a similarity. For example, I pull the branch aside, he gives the Shawnee sentence, and then what's called a morpheme by morpheme translation, which would be something like fork-shaped pattern, real eye, fork-shaped pattern, cause in the tree, and then by hand action or something. So the dominant, the salient morpheme is fork-shaped pattern. The Shawnee describes me as producing this pattern in the tree by hand action. I have an extra toe on my foot, a bizarre sentence, is fork-shaped eye, fork-shaped pattern, manifest reflexively in my foot. So again, the salient thing is fork-shaped pattern. Now, Donald Davidson, among others, criticized this by saying, well, this isn't an alien conceptual scheme. Look, the very fact you can translate it into English shows we have it. My answer is, did we have that notion of a fork-shaped pattern? Before, the idea that English itself is not affected by the work of translators, I think is even empirically false. We've gained, you know, why do we use French words so often in English? You know, éclat, and élan, and so on, and joie de vivre, and sang-froid, as well as words from other languages, of course. I think languages are but to ask, well, does the totality of all the things that exist include or not include fork-shaped patterns? That's the sort of thing that I regard as a pseudo-question. I mean, the positives are right that there are some pseudo-questions in philosophy. They just thought too many things were pseudo-questions.